Novation. I'm here today at the Gear for Music Studios to give you a full product demonstration and overview of the brand new Novation Launchpad Pro, to show you why it's an intuitive production and performance controller for all your Ableton live sets, as well as a great standalone MIDI controller for all your external devices. So if we take a look at a full overview of the Launchpad Pro, we can see at the heart of it here we have 64 grid base of buttons. And for the first time with the Launchpad Pro, we're getting full RGB colour feedback from Ableton. This allows you to colour code your parts of your set for a more visual representation, so we can colour code our drum parts, our bass parts, and keeps us more focused on our performance than on the laptop. In addition to that, we have 32 function buttons around the outside, and we'll look at those in more detail later. Each colour-coded pad represents a clip of either audio or MIDI information. To launch a clip, we can simply press multiple pads to create our live performance. If we want to launch an entire row of clips or a scene, we can use our right-hand function buttons here to launch our desired scene. This will launch an entire row of clips for us, and we can stop this using our global stop or stop all scenes for playing at the bottom here. So if we explore in more detail our 32 function buttons, we can see at the top here we have our row of navigation buttons. Now our live performances can get a little bit bigger than our 64 grid of buttons, and to assist us moving around our live performance, we can use the navigation here to move down and up, or right and left, for our live performance. Now this is always focused on a 64 grid of buttons. Completing the rest of the navigation buttons we have at the top here, we've got our session button. This will allow us to always get back to our session view, the main view of our live performance. We also have our note mode, device mode and user mode, which we'll explore in more detail later on. For those that remember the previous Launchpad, we had a dedicated mixer button. Now for the Launchpad Pro, we've removed that and given you a full row of function buttons down the bottom dedicated for mixer control. So if I launch a row of clips here, we can look individually at what these do. So for track select, for instance, I can change the focus of the particular channel that I'm looking at. This allows me to see more in detail of perhaps the devices that I want to control on that channel. Mute allows us to mute or kill individual channels. So for instance, I can take out my bass part, I can take out my drum parts, and we can bring those back in again. This is more expressive for live performance. Solo allows us to solo or isolate a particular channel. For instance, here we'll isolate our drum channel, and we'll bring everything back in again. Now volumes have changed a lot since the previous Launchpad. We have full velocity pads on the Launchpad Pro, and this gives us a great kind of transition on our channel phase or track phase. So if I press lightly here, you can see on my drum channel I get this kind of smooth transition. If I hit a little bit harder, I get a kind of more faster transition on my channel phase there. And just finally finishing off this row of buttons here, we have our pan. So I can pan sort of hard left or hard right using that fader control system. And then we move back to the middle here. And just to finish up here, we have control over our sends. So this will allow me to send my audio to an effect and get a return from that. So by default in my Ableton live session, I have send A here and send B. Now send A by default is a reverb and send B is a delay. So we can send our drum channel here to our reverb using again that fader glide system. And finally finish off this row of buttons here, we have our stop clip, which in session mode will allow me to stop full clips or individual clips on that channel. So one of the brand new features of the Launchpad Pro is the new note mode. So for example, if I record on my drum track here and then hit note mode, you can see that Launchpad Pro instantly recognises we have Ableton's drum rack. Now drum racks allow us to put on drum parts, individual drum hits, one shots or vocal samples. And when we're ready, we can actually record these parts in. So you'll see here I have my drum tracks loaded here. And when we're ready to record, we can use the global record button here. And this row of buttons on the left-hand side allow us to record or edit the properties of our clip. So for instance, we have click track, which will turn on the metronome for us. We have undo, and if we hold shift, the undo becomes a redo. We also have delete, which can be used to delete individual parts of the drum rack, or perhaps an entire clip from our session view. We also have quantize. Quantize will instantly snap our recorded parts to the global tempo of our track. We can also use record quantize if we hold shift. So when we instantly stop recording, this will snap the recorded parts to the global tempo of our track. We also have duplicate. Duplicate will allow us to duplicate our recording and allow us to create interesting transitions. And we also have double. So double will double the length of our bar from 1 bar to 2 bar or 2 bar to 4 bar. In addition to control over our drum racks, we also have control over our pitched instruments. So for example, if I record on my lead sound here and now press note mode, Launchpad Pro recognizes that we have a pitched instrument, and it's laid out in a chromatic way. So for instance, the purple key here represents the root or tonic note, and then we have the change in octave. The blue pads represent the white keys on a keyboard, and the unlit keys represent the black keys on a keyboard. Launchpad Pro gives us full control over our Ableton Live devices. So for example, if I just track select this channel here and hit device mode, you can see that my channels have now become 8 go-to parameter controls for my device. So for example, if I just use the same fader glide system, you can see I've got full control over my EQ settings. Our user mode button allows us to create custom light shows for our performance. So essentially we're taking MIDI information from our drum channel and sending it back out to the Launchpad Pro to create these interesting light shows. In addition to being an excellent live performance and production controller for your Ableton Live sets, for the first time, Launchpad Pro is completely standalone. So inside the box, you'll get your MIDI breakout cables. So connected to your MIDI input and output, you can now control all your external hardware from the Launchpad Pro. So there we have a brief overview of the new Novation Launchpad Pro. For more information, please visit the Gear for Music website. I've been Mark Lowes from Novation. Thanks for watching.